Hello, and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last BQH hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm speaking of my practitioner, and when I refer to me, I'm speaking of myself under hypnosis, which means that the answers are coming from the 25th dimension. Before I jump in, I want to say, as always, thank you for subscribing to my channel, liking and commenting on this video. It really makes a difference for me. And most importantly, it allows me to see where you're at with things, what's happening in your life. There aren't that many left of us here at this time. So I love when we can connect and touch base and see what's going on. All right, so I'm going to start reading here. Lorrayne, if we clearly chose to stay here, and she's referring to after the original takedown timeline, we decided to stay longer. So if we clearly chose to stay here, why are we putting up so much resistance? Me, because we don't want to. Laughing, they were laughing here. We don't want to be here. We wish we were done. So we can be, we can hold both emotions at the same time. The truth is, we wish we were done. Even us, the 12,000, we wish we were already on the earth. Who doesn't? All of us. I mean, it would be silly to think that just because you got to finish something, you don't want to be on the earth. New earth is wonderful. This is what we've been working for forever, and we are so close. And they were laughing here. Of course, we want to be gone. And we've sent dreams about this to Clea. She's had dreams. She's actually spoken about in our muscle testing session when she did the muscle testing video, where she had two different dreams. So we showed her that it's almost like staying behind when you weren't planning on staying behind. It's not almost, that's literally what's happening. But it's like when you know something very good is waiting for you, but you're like, okay, but I do need to do this thing because it's worthwhile. It will make this so much better. And so you stay behind. But you do it out of a sense of duty, in the sense of, okay, this needs to be done. It's not that you're staying behind because you're all excited about staying, or you're not excited about the next move. None of that. It's just simply, we know this is important enough that we have to do it. And again, it's not changing the plan, right? Where we have to worry, otherwise we wouldn't have gone for it. If this had been like, either you stay here and you fix this planet now, or you go to New Earth, we would have gone to New Earth. We want to tell you that. You would have been on New Earth already. Because the fact is, that's what we've been wanting to do, okay? And it would not be fair for us not to sacrifice. We wouldn't even do it because, again, there's no point. There's nobody left. It's only us. What are we doing here? What are we rebuilding? Are we rebuilding with a bunch of NPCs? So if that had been the choice, we would have not even stayed, past the 12th hour here. But we're doing it because it's worth delaying by a little bit. In the great scheme of things, it's just a little bit in terms of the essence, how the essence looks at these things to achieve what we're trying to achieve. It's going to put us light years ahead in terms of understanding and what we're capable of doing in the future. When we look back, it's the reason we sent this initial message to Clea at the beginning of the session. And I will link that video below in case you haven't seen it. They sent in this initial message they always do at the beginning of each new session. So you might want to review that if you don't remember it, what that was, or if you haven't watched that. All right. So when we look back, it's the reason we sent this initial message to Clea at the beginning of the session. When we look back, we are going to know why we did it. Doesn't mean we're going to be excited that or feel like we're excited while we're here. We're not. It's like when you do a job, right? You want to go home. You're tired, but you're like, I still have an hour of work to do. I better finish it. Doesn't mean you're excited during that hour. You still cannot wait to go home and take a shower or rest or plop yourself on the couch and relax. But you're like, okay, but it's worthwhile. In the great scheme of things, it is worthwhile for me to stay an extra hour. That way I'll be able to relax when I get home, or whatever it is. Doesn't mean you're happy while you are here finishing up, and that's why we're putting up resistance, because we're really not happy to be here, to have to be here. At the same time, even while not happy, you're still making the choice because we know that there is a payoff to this choice. It is still absolutely worthwhile. And this is true of everybody, not just the 12,000. The 12,000 are the ones that said this is important, but everybody else on the team of the light is supporting. everybody else on the team of the light gets it too. Again, no one, not one essence is being forced to stay here. Everybody who's here understands fully well what's happening and why this has to happen. Lorrayne, it doesn't mean we aren't tired and fed up with it all. Me, absolutely. Lorrayne, yes. However, we, even those of us who are on the team of the light but not part of the light worker team, are still contributing. I do my energetic work to change the nature of reality constantly. So I'm aware that we're affecting the whole, but it still doesn't feel any better. Me, no, it doesn't. And we understand that. We are tired and we were supposed to be gone already. We completely understand. Clea feels exactly the same way, and there is nothing to say for it. She jokes about the fact that she can't even blame anybody else. She's the one that chose to stay here. So she can't even say it was Lorrayne's fault that I'm here. And we're laughing. Do you see? And we joke, of course, about this. But the point very simply is we chose to be here, and it sucks. It sucks because we know what's waiting for us. It's almost like you know you're going home. There's a party waiting for you, but you're stuck at the office. But at the same time, you know why you're in the office. You know what you're doing, that there's value. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the office. Nobody can hold you in the office. It's not like the door is locked or they chained you to the desk. It's your choice to stay in the office an hour longer to finish your work. Lorrayne, sometimes it feels like we're chained to the desk. And the 25th was laughing. We always have a great time with Lorrayne. Lorrayne, okay, thank you. So now here I'm going to, I was debating whether to leave this particular question. And that's because it might appear like it's some kind of timeline, and it isn't. I'm just telling you, it is not a timeline. The reason I left it here is because I think it's value adding. It does explain how we are deciding to stay here in terms of what we consider time. You know, in terms of time here, what we're deciding to do and how things work behind the scenes. And then not because this is a timeline. I want you to keep that in mind, because I personally have been very disappointed when the original timeline came and went, and I just don't even want to find myself in a situation where I'm like holding my breath, especially when at the end of the day we're the ones that are changing our minds. So we can't even, as the 25th was joking, I can't even blame anybody else for this. All right, so Lorrayne, Clea and I did a muscle testing session, and I will link it below in case you haven't seen it. I thought it was very cool, so you might want to check it out. As you know, and I received a new timeline for the takedown. Now, this is Lorrayne. This is not my question. Lorrayne got a new timeline when she was muscle testing. And if you watch that muscle testing session, or if you are going to watch it, you realize that Lorrayne is not one of 12,000, which she's aware of. And again, the 12,000 are not any more special than anybody else, so it doesn't really matter. And because of that, she gets different information from what I'm getting. And it is the 12,000 that told everybody else on the team of light, you gotta stay behind for this reason. And so what she would be getting can be and has been slightly different from what I've been getting. So again, this is not meant as a timeline. I'm sharing this just to explain what's going on behind the scenes. Let me fix my video because, okay. All right, so I'm gonna repeat this question. Clea and I did a muscle testing session, as you know, and I received a new timeline for the takedown, and I got the information that it was mid to end December 2022. Is this correct? And is there a chance of another delay? Me. So delays depend on you. We already said this. I think you know this by now. And so we cannot tell you it's just going to be another delay. Do you want another delay? You will have another delay. The main thing we're focused on, we already said, is the recall of these things. Once that happens, the 12,000 will have learned what they are here to learn, and therefore we're done. We truly are done at that point. So at that point, it's really up to us where we feel like we've finished the work so we can go home from the office. But as for the timeline, we actually expect and foresee that it's going to take about 7 months from now. However, the December timeline could happen if you set your intention on it happening by December. Absolutely. So if you're practically intent on accelerating things, it's really up to you. It could happen tomorrow. I mean, there is no timeline in that sense. It could happen tomorrow. You decide to have this thing recalled by tomorrow, make it happen tomorrow. But on the basis of what you guys are planning, and again, because you're wanting things to be kind of smoothed out as well, and at the rate of you guys, what you're doing is at the same time, you're integrating and recalibrating. You're integrating certain things, learning certain things. So based on this experience, because again, it's not a matter of time, it's a matter of the experience. Based on this experience you're setting up for yourselves and the rate at which you want to go through the experience, and you think it's going to take a certain amount of time, we know time is not real, but a certain amount of time for you to go through this experience of understanding this fact that you do control your reality, we expect is going to take about 7 months. This is not given to you as a timeline for the takedown. I want to repeat this, especially for my own sake. This is not given to you as a timeline for the takedown. This is given to you as a timeline for what right now you're expecting is going to take for this thing to be recalled, okay? So for the recall to happen. Now, that's what we expect it will take. Right now doesn't mean anything, because in 3 months, the timeline could change completely again, because it depends on how well we are doing with this transitioning, becoming Neo, life review and whatnot that we're doing in the background. So again, I'm only sharing this because there's other information in this section that I think matters. Now, we already said after that, you're pretty much free to go. You've always been free to go, but after that, you will feel like you're free to go. But again, you might come up with something else. We really cannot tell you because it's not, nobody's imposing on you. But right now, we expect that you're going to be gone. You're going to be done after this recall. And at that point, you might decide that it's time to go. You can go at this point. So yes, can you make it happen by December? You can, absolutely, yeah. But right now we're foreseeing it's going to take about 7 months for the thing to be recalled. And that depends on us. So take it at face value. And even then they're saying about 7 months. What does that mean? It could be 10 months. It could be 3 months. So again, let's stay here. Let's focus on our intention to have that stuff happen. And then we go from there. Lorrayne, thank you. Okay, women have been attacked for the longest time in our civilization, especially by religion. Why have men also become a target of attack in the last few decades? Me. Because this is what the dark does. This is part of the vibration we keep here, really. It's the climate of attack on everything, attack on everyone, so that nobody feels strong enough to challenge the dark. It's a game. It's almost like when you're playing soccer, you just attack from any side. You can attack the other team in order to score. So it's not that, we said many times, the dark is very confused, has several conflicting agendas where they don't really make sense. It's not like this one thread that runs through everything. I mean, there is a thread which is let's attack and spread low vibrational energy, really. But there's no thread in terms of how they go about things. There's no technical plan. There's no tactical plan. They'll think of one thing and they'll go after that. And then they'll think of something else. Oh, we got women into a corner. Now let's put men into a corner too, so they don't think they can do anything, that they can stand up for themselves. And that's why, you know, and especially as women on paper became more powerful over the last several decades, you know, they got rights and they were laughing. We gave them rights. They gave us rights that we didn't have before. Now they're like, oops, all right, well, let's start attacking. Let's use this to our advantage, you know, emancipation, whatever that looks like, feminism, and let's destroy the other side. They're always separating us. They're always attacking so that we can attack each other. It works, right? There is an us versus them. Same thing that happened with these things. Oh, go tell your neighbors or even your parents or your children that if they don't take the thing, they're selfish and they're bad people and I'm never going to talk to them again. I mean, you know, where do we get these ideas? It's all the same. I mean, it's just the way they do business. Lorrayne, it's very old. Okay. What are obsessive thoughts? Where do they come from? Do they belong to the person, or are they picked up from the collective or on an astral trip? Or is the higher self wanting something? Me. Yes, so in the astral, of course, everything is always internal. So they're not picked up from anywhere. They could be floating information in the ether. Just like, for example, the information about the 25th is being distributed now. It's in the ether for people to pick up if they want to, if the essence is open to doing that. So that's what we mean by the answer is always inside. So what are obsessive thoughts? Yes, the essence is trying to get an issue resolved. Well, the consciousness of the person is trying to deal with an issue. The essence is sending certain messages and the person is trying to integrate them. And sometimes the person is not capable of doing it, meaning is not willing to do it, is what it is. It's going in circles. It might take a long time to go through things. It took Clea several years to get over the situation she found herself in at a 3D level before what she calls her dark night of the soul, lasted several years. Why? It didn't need to. It could have taken a week, but she was dealing with a lot of things that were going through, and there were obsessive thoughts in certain ways, in the sense of she was dealing with the same issues every day, rethinking over certain things. This is just the way. Everything is very slow here. And it is just the way things happen because we're dealing with a lot of, again, it's like this very dense soup of energy that we work in. Now, the essence can overcome all of that. But again, the essence is trying to be gentle. The essence is always trying to be gentle with the conscious awareness of a person, because the essence only wants for you to have the experience you wanted, you set up for yourself. So it's not going to smack you in the head with things. We joke about it. We say I'm being smacked in the head with things. But when do we say that? It's when something, we've seen it come up again and again and again. And eventually we're like, all right, there it is. So it's not that the essence is trying to be mean or rude or violent about imposing things. The essence wants you to have the experience you planned. So that's why. Basically, that's what's happening with obsessive thoughts. It's just that you're supposed to integrate and understand what it is that is the base of those thoughts. But now many people don't necessarily want to do that, even though they have the thoughts. And that's when you have what we call problems at a 3D level, where you might have mental disorders because you're subject to these energies. You're subject, we don't mean outside energy, we mean your higher essence energy, your higher essence trying to get something through to you. You're just not capable of handling. Just like our body is not capable of handling certain things. Same thing with our consciousness. Sometimes we're just not willing to understand it. Or maybe we go along with it and we end up looking crazy because we just lose track of everything else. But maybe that's the experience the higher self wanted for you. Wanted for you to be considered crazy so that you could do your own homework, your own work in peace without other people judging you or you having to pretend, wasting a lot of time having to pretend that you believe in the reality that everybody else believes in. Maybe they want to take you outside of the game while you're here. So again, the higher self will get what he wants to get eventually, one way or the other. They were laughing here. Lorrayne, thank you. Okay, in relation to trauma, this could be from something very little that triggers it. It's a perception. It could be due to emotional withdrawal from a parent, which is common. It doesn't even have to be abusive. It could be a misunderstanding on the part of the child. So why does it happen? Is the essence setting itself up for a certain experience? Me. Yes, it is. And truly the word trauma, we associate it with something awful happening. But the truth is, a parent might be tired and a child wants to play. And the parent goes, no, I don't want to play with you because I'm tired. And the child might think, my father doesn't love me. And all of a sudden, you have the birth of trauma, what we consider trauma in this dimension. The fact is that the essence will always get what it wants, will always get you set up for the experience you want. In your experience, the experience you want might be that you live with self-limitations, self-imposed limitations that you ascribe to trauma for the rest of your life, or that you get to a point where you're like, I don't want to have these limiting beliefs. And all of a sudden, you awaken to the fact that you can do whatever you want. You're a powerful individual. It doesn't even have to be a spiritual awakening, right? It might just be that you take your life into your own hands and you become a much more determined individual. There are many people respond to trauma in all kinds of ways. There are people who become victims of it in terms of how they want to live. They want to live as if their life is over because they didn't have a fair chance or whatever the case might be. And we're not saying that trauma, the real kind of trauma that we think of, like the very negative kind, does not exist and it's not challenging. We talked many times about the fact that there are things that have been happening on this planet that are really not acceptable. Unacceptable in terms of what we consider acceptable, in terms of unnecessary, that were completely unnecessary. But in general, we have choices in how we react to things. And in general, we always have choices in reference to things. And again, trauma is just a situation that your higher self set up for you. That's all. Because you might want an experience right now, or you might want an experience right now and experience later based on the experience you had right now. Now, we want to repeat again. There are situations, things that happen here where the higher self might have wanted an experience for you, but set you up in a situation that's much more dire than what it could have used to trigger their experience in a higher vibrational environment. So unfortunately, it's very much the case that we have some really awful types of traumas and situations here because of the things that happen in this extremely negatively polarized environment. So we already said a lot of the stuff is not happening anymore because the light, we are in charge right now and we're polarizing in the positive. Or we shouldn't say we are not there yet, but we are changing the polarity. We are changing the balance. This planet is much less imbalanced towards the dark than it was, much less. But at the same time, the main idea is that the essence is interested in the experience. Again, the experiences, unfortunately, a lot of the experiences we have access to, or the tools that we have access to trigger these experiences in this reality have been awful. It's just been very low quality choices. All right, well, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.